The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday heard arguments over whether public officials can block online critics on social media in two cases that test the First Amendment right to free speech in the digital age. The first case involves parents in California who were blocked by two school board trustees on social media, and the second involves a Michigan man who was blocked by a city official on Facebook. The justices appeared to struggle with how to make the determination of whether a social media account should be considered personal or official.
If it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it is a duck, and it means the First Amendment applies.
Katie Fallow, senior attorney at the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University, said a political divide on the top court was visible.
To some extent, you could see some partisan lines with many of the court's three liberal justices expressing concern that public officials will essentially try to evade their obligations under the First Amendment by claiming that it's a purely personal account, even though they're doing all these official things with the account. And on the other side, some of the conservative justices expressing concern about the First Amendment rights of public officials themselves, who certainly have, even after they're elected or if they're serving in the government, have the right to engage in their own personal speech.
Some justices, including Ketanji Brown Jackson, asked if requiring public officials to include disclaimers on their personal pages could help clear some of the fog. Others expressed doubt that personal accounts, heavily used for government business, should actually be considered personal. Liberal Justice Elena Kagan used former President Donald Trump as an example, noting that he was doing, quote, a lot of government on his Twitter account, sometimes even announcing policies. Kagan said, quote, it was an important part of how he wielded his authority, and to cut a citizen off from that is to cut a citizen off from part of the way that government works. Back in 2021, the Supreme Court confronted Trump's efforts to block critics on Twitter. In the end, the case was deemed moot after he left office.